Now, if on a nice sunny day like today, the idea of a houseboat on the Thames sounds appealing, then you obviously don't live on a houseboat in Kingston, because tenants on the Thames there are being threatened with eviction. Last night, police had to be called in to disperse demonstrators who held up a meeting of the local council for 40 minutes. Susanna Greenberg reports.
Kingston Council's pride in its riverside heritage has come in for some harsh criticism recently. Last night, 40 families who live right on the river descended on the Guildhall in fury at the council's apparent indifference to the destruction of a long-standing river tradition. They're all due to be evicted from the houseboats they've lived on for years, and they blame the council for their plight.
Administratively, we're a problem. We don't fit into any other category. They don't really know what to do with us. They'd just rather we weren't here. They think that by putting pressure on us, we'll move somewhere else. They don't realise that the problem's so severe there just is nowhere else to go.
The council has progressively cut down on the number of houseboat moorings in its section of the river. Now, the boat people are huddled together in just 2 mooring stages. But despite their outwardly scruffy appearance, they are not gypsies and want to stay put. Most are middle-class professionals. They include a teacher and an accountant, as well as mechanics and craftsmen. The council does not own the moorings, but indirectly it can dictate whether the boat people stay or go. There is no protection under the law. The owners of the moorings have now been forced to issue eviction notices, and this comes in spite of an assurance given on a Radio London programme in 1975 by Councillor Ken Gooding, who is now Kingston's mayor.
Where the residential boats are moored at the present time, we are quite prepared to say that they will remain.
However, since then, houseboat moorings have been reduced, while Kingston Council's planning policy has concentrated on office development, even though the borough currently has 150,000 square feet of empty offices. It's this new development on the so-called Wilcox site that has caused the latest houseboat evictions. But it's not the council who are evicting them. In granting planning permission for offices, they made it a condition that the developers build a new walkway and evict the houseboats in the process. The Liberal opposition on the council disagrees strongly with the tactics that have been employed.
Kingston Council is known as a very secretive body, but the underhandedness that they employed on the Wilcox situation is almost unbelievable. The developer applied to put in 4,000 or 5,000 square feet of offices right on the riverbank. Now, although publicly Kingston Council is against office development along the riverside, it's not in their riverside policies. The first thing they did was agree to build the offices. And then in a secret document, which they will not give either the resident boat owners or myself as a councillor access to, they have made it a condition of planning consent to the office block that the developer does their dirty work for them and removes the houseboats from the moorings. So in effect, the council is ensuring that these houseboat people are evicted.
The man who has to carry out the evictions is local developer Charles Butcher. He says he would not have been able to gain planning permission for the site unless he agreed to get rid of the boats. However, he does want to help the boat people find other moorings, but so far he can get no cooperation from the council.
Since the agreement's been entered into, there's been no indication of any help from either the council or Thames Water. I wrote to the council some 3 months ago trying to arrange a meeting, but I just cannot get a meeting with them.
So what do you think the council's attitude is towards this whole eviction question?
Well, I think the council's attitude is that we've passed the buck on the developer and we couldn't care less. And we as developers will be obliged to go to the county court, get an order for possession, and these people will just be driven from the site. Goodness knows where they're going to go.
I don't know where we'll go, and if we have to dodge up and down the river, I just know I shan't like it.
It means we'll have to keep moving the boat around in this area and moor ourselves illegally for 24 hours, 48 hours until we're moved on by the council moorings inspector.
Wouldn't you consider getting a home on dry land instead?
Not at all.
Got a home here.
Not at all. We've got a lovely home here. We're very fond of our home.
Many of the children have been brought up on the water. They're surrounded with the same trappings as any house on dry land. The owners have spent a lot of money on the insides of their boats. Nearly all are connected to main services. The appearance outside, however, is far from picturesque. But whether that's the reason for the council's lack of support, no one knows. Nowadays, they won't explain their policy towards houseboats.
Just because they've got a bit untidy the last year or two, since this threat has been hanging over them, you can't remove residential houseboats when you're living in a riverside borough. I mean, all along the Thames there are houseboats.
Chris Leach and the boat people feel there would be enough room to build a walkway and still accommodate the houseboat moorings. The council disagree, as do the developers. However, unlike the council, Charles Butcher does feel the boats make a positive contribution to local life.
Indeed, a limited number of them, I would have thought, could very easily have been accommodated on the new Riverside Walk. By doing that, they will at least keep the river alive, and also, I've always maintained the view that if we have residential boats on the Riverside Walk, it's going to stop vandalism.
Kingston Borough Council has approximately 4.5 miles of river frontage, and if they can't find 200 yards to accommodate at the maximum 40-odd houseboats, there's something very wrong.
Last night, we tried to find out just what the council's policy was towards houseboats, but it didn't prove easy.
Mr. Daly, can you tell us why the council are trying to get the houseboat owners evicted?
After the demonstrators had held up the council meeting for 40 minutes, the Arts and Recreation Committee agreed to meet a deputation on Friday. But the boat people have already said that if they don't succeed in finding alternative moorings, they'll organise all the houseboats into a blockade of the Thames.
Susanna Greenberg on the Thames. Now look at the jolly boating weather. Thank you, Bradley Dowell.